Are you ready for the newest and most broken brawler in Brawl Stars? Because Sprout is coming and it is going to completely break Brawl Stars, and here's why. First off, let's break down how Sprout exactly works and what you need to know about Sprout. First off, Sprout is going to be a mythic brawler. That's right. I'm sorry for a lot of free-to-play players making him very hard to unlock, but probably because he has a pretty complex mechanic is why he's a mythic brawler. I mean, looking at his super, as you saw in Brawl Talk, he has a super that throws down and creates a wall-like structure, and that is going to completely change and break Brawl Stars. First of all, now you can see his normal attack, it does not do a lot of damage, 1400. Now really quick, comparing his reload speed to all the other throwers, you can see Sprout's combined reload speed is the exact same as Dynamite's. It takes the same amount of time for him to reload and throw 3 attacks, 2.2 seconds combined per shot is his average reload. Now you'll see his health is of course also not very high, just like a lot of other throwers. Doesn't do a ton of damage, kind of similar to Barley, and his health pretty similar to Barley as well. Now his super here in the description says it does damage. It actually does not, and honestly that's fine. His super is going to be pretty game breaking. By the way, Sprout is going to come out in game on April 10th, so 10 days after this video has been live. Now let's break down Sprout's main attack a little bit more. When you throw Sprout's attack, you can see the first individual range is not very long, but it will bounce and then it will explode. Now he also has weird interactions with walls as well. You can throw over walls, but it doesn't exactly bounce over walls. It will bounce off walls, so that can provide even more interesting interactions as well. Now let's talk a little more about Sprout's super, because this is going to be a really broken part about Sprout. For better or worse, Sprout now is the first brawler in-game that can create walls. And you can see Sprout throws it down in a plus-shaped sign pretty much wherever you do it. It takes 4 shots to charge Sprout's super, so it actually charges really quickly. If you throw it against an already existing, well, first off, let's just put it here, and you can see I cannot walk past this. If you have a super that breaks down walls, it will of course break this down. It does last 10 seconds. It's not permanent, but you can get a lot of blockage down. I mean, 10 seconds is a long time, and you don't necessarily want to use your super just to break down a wall in order for it to be gone right away. And you can also see you can create multiple supers at the same time, and they will combine in a way like this and create even longer sections. So you can get crazy weird scenarios like this. And I'm only targeting one person at a time. If you're hitting multiple people, you could charge that super really quickly and chain them and get crazy results. But what about his star power and his gadget? His gadget takes 1 tile of grass and converts it into 3,000 health. Now he can use this gadget even if he is full health. Actually, it'll still destroy the piece of grass, and of course you'll completely waste your gadget. But this should be a pretty solid gadget. I mean, he has to be in grass for him to even use it. So of course it's going to be very map dependent. The more grassy the map, the more likely it's a solid gadget. In Showdown, this is going to be really good just to stay alive. You can just camp in grasses like a lot of people in Showdown tend to do anyways, and he'll actually be able to survive pretty well with that extra 3,000 health. I mean, technically, you could have 7,200 health with this gadget, so that's a pretty solid amount. But overall, I think it's more of a B-tier gadget, mostly because he has to be in grass to even use it. Of course, he'll try to be as much as possible just so he can use it, but it also makes it more predictable, and he's not always going to be able to use it is the bottom line. Now, his first star power is called Overgrowth, and basically it makes the explosion of his main attack even wider. Now let's go right into Training Cave so you can see what I'm talking about. First of all, here is Sprout's attack without any star power. You can see the explosion radius of his main normal attack, whatever the seed bomb. It's actually pretty small, but when you combine it with his new star power, his first star power, it increases the radius of this explosion by about 1.5 tiles. That's actually a really big range extension, and any range extension tends to be a really good ability. This is going to be a really good star power. I have this as an S tier star power just because of the total extra range that this gives Sprout is actually insane, and especially for a thrower who can be hard to attack since they can attack over walls, giving them better range is insanely good, as we can see with Tick for how annoying he is. However, if you just throw it on a target, it will have the smaller explosion radius without without the star power effect. So if you want to have a bigger radius explosion with Sprout, you honestly kind of don't want to hit people. You want to be right next to them and get the explosion, and then hopefully that way you can hit multiple people as opposed to just throwing it and bouncing it on someone. That will be a lower radius. But you can also see it can bounce off a wall and it can still hit someone and not have the wider explosion radius. I did it once on accident, and now I can't do it on purpose, of course. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Now let's do a quick range comparison. How about we compare Sprout's range, star power, and non-star power to some other common brawlers like Piper, who has a 10-tile range. In this case, Sprout's non-star power range is very similar to that of Piper's, about 10 tiles. So even without star power, it's still actually a really long range. But when you add the star power, it gets even closer to Tick's range, almost the exact same when you add in the explosion radius of Tick's mine. So this gives Sprout an incredibly long range and is going to partly be a big reason for why Sprout is going to be a really annoying and hard brawler to deal with. Now we're going to play some live games with Sprout in one moment so you can get a really good idea of how Sprout works and how well to play him. But let's put him in a tier for every single mode and an overall tier so you know exactly how broken he is. First of all, Gem Grab. I have Sprout as more of a B tier brawler, partly because he's not crazy high damage. I don't think he's going to be insanely good, but of course his wall ability, if well timed, could definitely save the match or swing it in your favor, although it might be very map dependent. We're going to have to find out the exact best places to use his super and when are good moments to do that. I don't think there's going to be a high learning curve with Sprout. Now, for similar reasons, I think Sprout is going to be B tier in Heist as well. I don't quite think he has enough damage to be great at offense or defense by himself, but maybe with the help of his teammates and with walls, he can make it really difficult for the enemy to do what they want to do, and that's why he's at least B tier in Heist, even though he is a pretty low damage brawler. In Siege, I think he's going to be better because of his wall ability will allow your team to either get bolts or path the robot to a different direction or delay the robot or something like that. Could be really good in Siege, so he's at least A tier for me in Siege with this really good control ability. Now in Bounty, I think it's going to be S tier. Not only does it have a healing gadget, which is great for Bounty, but he attacks over walls, has a long range, so he's very hard to hit. Even though he is low damage, it's not going to matter. He can still chip shot the enemy and he'll be fine. His wall ability will protect your team or force the enemy team wherever you want. Definitely S tier now. Duo Showdown, Sprout's going to be A tier. Even though Sprout's not high damage, the gadget is going to allow him to stay alive pretty well, and he's still going to be able to chip shot enemies well, and he'll be able to hit 2 enemies at once, which will often be grouped up, which is going to be great. So actually, he will be solid in Duo Showdown. Now in Brawl Ball, Sprout is going to be S tier for me, and it's 100% because of his super. We're playing on probably one of the best maps for Sprout here. Okay. But Sprout's ability, his super, can completely just stop the enemy. And look at this. Now look, I can't score while I have the wall like this, but all I gotta do is wait for it to go down. And, wait, Jackie, don't do this. Okay, playing bots, so this sort of things happen. But it's gonna be easy goals or easy defense with Sprout. There's just going to be so much that he can do. Now, I could block my own goal as well to stop the enemy from scoring if I want, and that can give my teammates 10 seconds to respawn and attack them. Of course, if they can't attack over walls, then they're going to be stuck in the spawn. My allies would be. So it is a bit plus and minus, but I mean, in an emergency, it can be very good. Not a great use there, but I mean, just the ability to block off a complete lane is going to end up being so strong for Sprout. And of course, I haven't even used my gadget here. I'm kind of honestly just forgetting about it. Let's just go ahead. We'll throw it on this wall. Oh, actually kind of got blocked, but honestly, is that even better? Now they only have 1 lane to go through. And let's go. Sprout making the ability to do even new trick shots. Let's go. Now in Solo Showdown, I think Sprout is going to be more of a B tier brawler. And overall, that makes me have him as an A tier average brawler with the potential to be S tier in my opinion. Because Sprout with his wall breaking gadget, I think if we can learn the perfect combinations for where to put that wall, he could be S tier in a lot of modes potentially, especially on a high level team. Playing with Rand, and there we go. Nice. Brawler. And I also think since his star power is so good, he is going to kind of rely on that. Okay, now I can heal up here if I need to, but I don't. I mean, Sprout's going to be so good at scouting out, which is actually an ability most throwers are really bad at. Now, if you're trying to auto-aim a Sprout, it's not really recommended because it only auto-aims to the longest distance you can throw before it bounces. It doesn't take into effect the bounce when you auto-aim. But, I mean, look at the ability that Sprout has. So much range. Of course, the bounce is kind of awkward sometimes, but it's not even a big deal. The fact that he can bounce off walls is going to allow for some really cool possibilities. Now, where is this last Brawler? Right here, let's block off his escape, although blocks off my escape too. It is going to be pretty awkward for Sprout to attack at his heels, as you can see in this case here, but we are playing bots, so it is really no big deal. That's going to be it for today's video, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you later.